From the beginning, God chose Israel to reveal his faithfulness, his covenant promises, and his desire to dwell with humanity. The story of Israel is not merely the story of one ethnic nation among many. It is the unfolding revelation of God's redemptive purpose in history. Through Abraham came the promise. Through Moses came the law. Through David came the royal covenant. Through the prophets came the expectation of restoration and fulfillment. Yet throughout Israel's history, there was a constant tension between outward religion and inward life. The people possessed the temple, sacrifices, priesthood, and ceremonies, but the prophets continually cried out that God desired mercy, faith, faithfulness, and a transformed heart. Isaiah spoke of a people who honored God with their lips while their hearts were far from him. Jeremiah foretold a new covenant that would not merely be written on stone tablets, but upon the hearts of the people. The law was holy and good, yet it also exposed humanity's inability to achieve righteousness through human effort. Israel stood as a mirror to the world, revealing both God's covenant faithfulness and mankind's inability to fulfill divine righteousness through fleshly striving. The sacrificial system pointed beyond itself toward a greater and final work that would completely remove sin and reconcile humanity to God. When Jesus appeared, he came as the fulfillment of Israel's story. He was the true seed of Abraham, the faithful Israelite, the greater Moses, the son of David, and the embodiment of the temple itself. Everything the nation anticipated found its fulfillment in him. He did not come to abolish the law and prophets, but to bring them to completion. Many expected a political revolution, but his kingdom was not established through earthly warfare or national conquest. Instead, he established a kingdom rooted in righteousness, peace, and union with God. He gathered a people not by ethnicity or national boundaries, but by faith. The Old Covenant age, with its temple-centered worship and sacrificial system, was approaching its appointed conclusion. Jesus warned repeatedly about the coming judgment upon Jerusalem and the temple. He spoke of days when not one stone would remain upon another. These warnings were not empty threats. They marked the transition from the Old Covenant order into the fullness of the New Covenant reality. The destruction of Jerusalem and the temple in AD 70 was a monumental turning point in redemptive history. The physical temple that once stood at the center of Israel's covenant life passed away, demonstrating that God's dwelling place was no longer confined to earthly structures made by human hands. The true temple is now Christ and those united with him. This means the focus is no longer centered on geographic land, earthly rituals, or covenant distinctions based on ancestry. The promises of God reach their fulfillment in Christ, and all who belong to him share equally in that inheritance. The dividing wall has been removed. Jew and Gentile alike stand on equal ground through grace. The beauty of the new covenant is that believers are not striving to earn acceptance before God. Righteousness is not achieved through law-keeping, religious performance, or outward ceremonies. It is a gift freely given through Christ. God relates to his people not through condemnation, but through reconciliation and sonship. Israel's story therefore reaches its climax not in endless anticipation, but in fulfillment. The shadows have given way to substance. The old has passed away and the new has come. The covenant promises are realized in Christ, who reigns now as King. His kingdom is present, his work is finished, and his people are invited to live in the freedom, peace, and confidence of completed redemption. Today, believers are called to rest in what God has accomplished, rather than fear what remains unfinished. The message is not about distance from God, but union with him. Not about waiting for acceptance, but living from acceptance already given through Christ. The story of Israel ultimately reveals the faithfulness of God to bring his purposes to completion and to gather a people who live in the reality of his everlasting covenant.